Out $100 bills, and it kills and it thrills like the horns on my Silverado grill. And I buy the bar a double round of Crown, and everybody's getting down in this town. Ain't never gonna be the same, 'cause I saddle up my horse and I ride into the city. I make a lot of noise 'cause the girls, they are so pretty.
Coming up to the line, being chased, and it was Braden Johnson. Unbelievable finish. It was 1/1000th of a second between them.
Green flag in the air. We are racing in the 2020 24 Hours of Daytona.
They go door to door for the feature race lead here on the last lap of the race.
Side by side for the race lead in the final corner at Homestead.
Down the back straightaway, 3 wide again for the race lead. This is unbelievable stuff here tonight.
Loma is going to have to be very deep on the brakes, and he is very deep on the brakes. It's side by side through the corner. This is for the win.
It'll be side by side. Davies low, Ottinger high. To the very inside is Garrett Low. 4 wide at the stripe.
For Audie's win here on this outside line, neck and neck. Who's going to back out? Does anyone back out?
Verstappen starts to squeeze on the inside, and now he'll try and straight line it. Goes under the apron, drag race to the line. It's so close to call.
Talladega. This one is a total minefield. But I've got it under control. Because only one driver has won at this track more than me. And we have the same name. You're all probably wondering, how did we figure it out? It's simple. This is Earnhardt country.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the broadcast. Couple things tonight. Probably not going to have any crazy tower or tickers going on. Aside from the normal stuff, we had a shuffle to get to this point. So make sure if you guys are returning from last night, you leave your comments in the chat, and we'll definitely make sure that we respond to you in a timely manner, because we were having a good time. Right now, we are qualifying for Talladega. Tonight's race is a points racing. So if you guys have any questions on how things are going to go, we're going to be in the Next Gen series tonight. Make sure that you guys subscribe. We will be covering most Wednesday night truck series with a Ruff Neck. If you guys didn't catch that, the replay is in my videos. Other than that, we got some trucks taken to the track right now, or some cars. I got to get used to it from last night. So we do have some cars taken to the field right now. We're currently watching Alex Bahiri take to the track in that Dunkin' Donuts number 20 Chevrolet. And we will try and get around the field while we are watching this. You will see a lot of these guys take this high lane coming all the way to the tri-oval, and then they'll come about midway through the tri-oval down to the bottom and run their fastest lap. It looks like Alex might have come down a little too early. We'll see how that affects his time. You can find, well, It wouldn't affect his time too much because we are now in the warm-up. So we're not worried about qualifying right now. We will fix this mistake and show you guys how everything worked out for qualifying. So let's see here. See if we can figure it out. So maybe. All right, so ignore the Truck Series things in the top left and some of the logos. It does look like Dakota Camper did take the pole with Alex Bahiri in second, John Houston third, Casey Ellis in fourth, and Mr. Dougie Wagner in fifth in that beautiful 30 car. So these guys are just warming up for about 5 minutes, but our pole award for the night will go to Mr. Dakota Camper himself. And that beautiful yellow, white, and semi-blue car. We will get you a good look on that momentarily as that thing heads for turn 3. Dakota is your current points leader in ASDR Next Gen Series. And yeah, Rev, so this race, we did last night's race is the Wagoner Welding 150. Tonight will be the 125 at Talladega. We know you're curious about mileage when we're setting up races, but we're just going to roll with it. So your pole sitter is Dakota tonight. He comes to us from Abingdon, Virginia, in that beautiful Chevrolet, practicing some pit stops. So make sure you guys give some whoop whoop up to him in the chat tonight. And we will see who else we have out on a track. Looks like we got Chris Phillips, Blake Witowski, and the 00, who is Steven Shue, getting some practice. Maybe a little bit of Bill Stringfellow right behind them. Trying to catch this little pack to get some draft practice right before the race. And we are going to test some cams for you guys around the track and make sure that they are all squared away. And if you guys don't know, our good man Bernie will be waving all sorts of flags tonight. Hopefully, maybe we just see one tonight, and that will be the green flag as to start it. And later, maybe see another one come out that's a white and another that would be a checkered. But currently, your fastest little warm-up bit, we have Steven Shue in first place. Most of these guys will take the opportunity to practice their pit stops. We got a short race here tonight. Last night we were 75 laps here in the trucks, and a non-points race / all-star race for the Ruff Neck Truck Series. And we will fix this. So Bill is asking for an EOL, and we are going to make sure that you guys don't hear too much going on, and we are not fabricating any stories on the broadcast. We don't want any of that. So, Mr. Bernie will be our flag man tonight, and it looks like we got a couple that'll blink out here for a second as we hit to the grid. Stick around post-race for our beautiful interviews with our top 3 at the beautiful Talladega in Alabama. If you guys have not had a chance to watch any races at this track, I definitely recommend you do so. It's a beautiful, awesome weekend, especially if you like to party. But our top 10 for the night will be Dakota Camper starting on the first row, first place, and that number 3 Chevrolet, followed by Alex Bahiri, John Houston, Casey Ellis, and Dougie Wagner is starting in 5th place. Greg Pillar will take the outside in the number 90 tonight, and 7th Larry Fairman, 8th Jerome Cooper, 9th Jim H. Jones. And with this, Chris Phillips will actually be starting in 10th because Bill Stringfellow has requested an EOL, so that will move Chris Melton to 11th place. And to continue out your lineup, Blake Witowski in the 12th place. He will just shuffle up the line, take over that 11th spot. Or no, he'll start 13th. Steven Shue, myself, which was supposed to race, but I wanted to give this beautiful broadcast to you. Christopher Barker will start on the outside. Mike Chivers, Pete Dillon, and Jeff Scott will round out the field. All of your incidents and anything else tonight, we will be sure to cover up with some fun commercials tonight. Make sure you take that time to use the restroom, get your snacks, and Mr. James Wagoner, if you are out there, we have sent a beautiful box of Little Debbie treats to you coming soon. If you guys do notice, we are getting racked up, getting ready to go. This is only one short pace lap tonight. SMR, we see you in the chat. Good luck all. They're going to need it. No fast repair as we go 55 laps here tonight. These guys are 60% fuel with 3 extra tire sets behind the wall. And for this first lap, as always, we're going to take you around the track, little pumped up with no voice in the background. We'll see you on the other side. Well, it does look like we had one take to the inside wall, and Mr. Jerome Cooper, he is currently in the pits, took that tow truck. It did not interfere with anybody else's race, and so he decided to take the pit as the caution did not come out. Currently in first place, single file, the leader is Dakota, and it does look like John Houston is going to go to the outside, maybe fall back to the little bit, and we do have Larry Fairman out of the beautiful Canada sitting there in third. Sandwiched in between Dakota and Larry right now is the 30 car himself and that beautiful Chevrolet, Dougie Wagner. Alex Bahiri is currently in fourth in that Dunkin' Donuts. Casey Ellis in that Ghost Energy drink number 35. Jim H. Jones will take over your sixth spot. He is currently up 3 spots from the first 2 laps. Greg Pillar is in 7th place and the 90 Ford. He is currently the second highest in the field of the Fords. Chris Phillips is currently in the 8th position. Steven Shue is up 5 spots from the beginning of this race in that 00 Chevrolet. And right now, down the most spots in the field, 7 down, is that number 8 car, John Houston. But back up to the front, just looks like these guys are going to be chill at the beginning of this race, maybe. We'll turn down the volume just a hair so you guys can hear a little bit. These guys are going to try and be calm for the beginning of this race. Stay single file. Try not to get a caution before the first pit stop. There will be pit stops in this, so they will be sure to try and make it to that first pit stop at least. And if you guys have a favorite camera tonight, let us know. We can rock some camera footage on your favorite driver tonight as we will round through the field once we get a few more green flag laps going. And commentator's curse did not exist last night, so let's hope the same thing for tonight. And as they come across on the end of lap 4, your leader still is Dakota Camper with most of the field lined up behind him. So we're going to do while these guys are single file. We got some green flags done. Let's go through the field. And we will get you a beautiful, beautiful camera pack. It does look like in the back they are trying to get that second lane rolling, but close and no cigar yet. So we'll be sure to watch that as we take you through the field. Currently in first place is the number 3, Dakota Camper. He was also your pole sitter tonight. Second place right now is Dougie Wagoner out of North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Third place right now is Larry Fairman in that 11 Chevrolet, followed by Alex Bahiri in the 4th place. Casey Ellis currently is running in the 5th position, down 1 spot, but I'm sure he's just riding. Currently in the 6th position, Jim H. Jones. Greg Pillar, our winner last week of the beautiful Sparco Racing Gloves Hyper Plus. He is currently running in the 8th spot out of North Waterboro, Maine. And if you notice on there, it says slightly talented. Might be yet to be seen. Nah, good guy, good guy. Right here we got Chris Phillips is currently in the 8th place with this Chevrolet. Steven Shu followed behind him in the pretty bland 00 Chevrolet. Blake Witowski following in 10th. Shuffle of cars right here. So you got Chris Melton trying to get that second lane rolling. Underneath him is Christopher Barker, followed by Pete Dillon. We do have Jeff Scott. Had some troubles last night, but he is looking good tonight, getting that second row going. John Houston currently in the 15th position. Bill Stringfellow kind of rocking towards the back of the field, hoping that he can... No, I do not have a camera in the restroom. Oops. But currently taking up the back of the field. He's not too worried about getting up there too quickly. Mike Chivers falling off the pace just a little bit. Might have snuck off that draft. And Jerome Cooper is currently out of the race. So we will take you back to the front of this pack, as we got a kerfuffle of cars going. And we will hide that for you. Make sure you guys get this beautiful digger cam. Oh, I love these cameras, man. These things are beautiful. If the volume on the cars is a little too quiet, let me know. I will bump those up some volume. As these guys are heading into 3, it does look like that second line has made it about middle of the pack right now. As we are in the middle of turns 3 and 4, heading towards the 4th corner exit. As you can see, 1 through 4th right now is currently single file. They are just trying to make it to that first pit stop of the night. It does look like Alex may see a little space behind him. I do think this second lane is going to catch these guys, which is led by Blake Witowski. You may see these guys catch this bottom lane here in about 2 laps. Maybe even this one, they do get a greater run on the straightaway. Lose a little time in the corners. It just depends how shuffled up and how tight-packed Chris Melton feels like pushing Blake. It does look like John Houston is blinking just a little bit. And that number 8 car tonight, he looks good now. So as Larry Fairman Does look like he slides out a little bit from the draft, but finds his way right back in front of that Dunkin' Donuts. Dougie Wagner is going to try and lead that second lane. Blake Witowski does try to go around, and he is by himself and got stuck out to dry. I think that was a bad move on Blake's. He had plenty of room behind him. He could have lifted a little bit and let Dougie there. We do have a second line forming, as it does look. Let me see if I can find him here. It does look like that 12 car of Jim H. Jones and the Hooters car tonight did decide to fall back. Maybe probably didn't get back on the track soon enough, as in danger of losing this draft. As we head back to the front, does look like that outside lane is maybe getting shuffled back a little bit. Chris probably just trying to line up a little bit with the bumps, but we are currently 11 of 55 laps done in this race and no cautions. We did have an early goer, and Jerome Cooper hit the inside wall, probably off of a bad bump on that outside lane, but no caution. And I wanted to make sure no one's hearing too much coughing in the background, so took a second for myself. As we were away, it does look like that outside lane did make their way past Dakota, and he has given up the lead. Does look like John Houston has found himself in the front of this bottom lane. Dakota maybe not like pushing him, worried about that blinking a little too much. But your current leader as of right now in that beautiful 30 car tonight is Dougie Wagner, followed by Chris Melton. And to round out the top three is Jeff Scott. If you guys notice during this race, this middle lane is, if you can get the pack right, it is a lot faster than the bottom lane. It does look like they're shuffling out a little bit. And we were close to a caution there, but it looks like they did get it all squared away. Just kind of looked like too much shuffling in that middle line. They got it squared away, though, and they are 2 by 2 by 2, about 4 rows back. And if you guys didn't know, last night's question was kind of concerning. So we asked the viewers this question, and no one in this field is running these cars. So you guys might be able to help me out a little more here. So in first place last night, we had a little bit of a bad move there on John Houston, trying to block a little bit. In this league, blocking is not allowed to the last 10, so make sure you watch your blocking there, John. But anyways, we had a Home Depot and Good Wrench and UPS truck. So does the order go? The Good Wrench goes on the Home Depot, and the Home Depot sends the box on the UPS truck? Or do you think FedEx swoops in and takes all the business? You guys let me know in the chat. Do you prefer UPS or do you prefer FedEx? Anyways, back to the action. Does look like Dougie does have that middle lane locked down right now. Fourth car back in that middle lane in the 63 car is Pete Dillon. Currently, he is up 14 spots, but has nothing on our third place driver right now. Jeff Scott currently up 15 positions from the beginning of this race. As always, we know that every single driver, every single viewer loves loves to go on board. So that's what we're going to do for you right now. Currently, we're on board with Alex Bahiri as he's following that Exalta, number 11 of Larry Fairman, going into the corner. Does look like we got lap traffic coming up very soon, and we will get you from Dougie Wagner's point of view. Coming up on Mike Chivers, who lost the draft earlier, does look like he is going to go up into the third lane and maybe give these guys some space as they head into turn 3. And it does look like going fairly clean for everybody, as Mike has found himself to the top of the track. Not hurting anybody. Just making sure no one runs him over. If there is a caution, he is the first one a lap down, so he will get that lap back. Currently, he's just trying to float in there behind Bill Stringfellow. If you guys have never raced with Mike, what a wonderful guy. He's an awesome dude. This, though, is looking pretty crazy. This middle lane, they're about single file, 7 rows back, and it does look like Alex Bahiri is trying to get past Larry on the middle lane so he can tuck in back there. But currently, we're 7, almost 8 cars deep in that middle lane, and it's working out for them. Bottom lane, like I said, does not work here in these next-gen cars. You got to turn the car a little too tight on corner exit, and you scrub a lot of speed. So, as I've said before, and I'll say again, your current leader, Dougie Wagner. If my notes pop out in front of everybody, yep, figured that was going to happen. I was going to try and give you guys some cool statistics on this racetrack, but no cigar. Currently, it does look like we are pretty single file throughout the field. Towards the beginning of this race, we were in a similar position. One person who did decide he's going to start making some moves up the field is Mr. Bill Stringfellow out of Theodore, Alabama. Pretty close to a home track to him, if you do ask me. Making sure that he slowly makes his way through the field, tries to find some drafting partners. I do not think we are going to see a lot of double file until we get later into this race, but it's never a bad thing. We're almost 20 laps through this thing, no caution. I know, Rev, if you're out there, you're probably falling asleep. I need you to wake up, buddy, because once we get to caution, or once we get to pit stops here, you might be a little busy. So don't fall asleep on me over there. Interesting fact of the week. I enjoyed broadcasting so much last night. I ordered a brand new microphone. So hopefully if you guys hear this pop or like it kind of sounds a little echoey, next week we will be back with a better microphone for the Ruff Neck Truck Series, sponsored by James Wagner Welding. If you guys notice in the chat, Rev has said, huh, what? That means he has woken up from his 20-lap nap. So make sure you guys give him some crap in the comments. We should be closing on some pit stops maybe here in the next 5 to 10 laps. We only put 60% of fuel in this car. So these guys are going to try and conserve as much as they can. And it looks like Rev is back to his game playing of drool or no drool. Is it the Gatorade or is it not the Gatorade? We're back from a short little break. You know, I think I have it down. And we have our first round of pit stops coming in currently 21 laps into this. So it does look like if we do not get a caution, these guys will be pretty tight on fuel, as Dougie Wagner has led the Entendre and the Escalade onto pit road, followed by a ton of Chevys and maybe one or two Fords. He will try and get this pit stop quick. A lot of these guys probably will not take tires. If they take tires, they will find themselves probably not doing so great. Chris Melton has gotten out of his pit box. It looks like Dougie Wagner has taken a little more time than he wanted to coming out of this pit road. And he is currently still on pit road. Maybe some issues with that number 30. Maybe burning a little. Oh, so just an update from our race control. We did have a speeding penalty from Mr. Dougie Wagner. He will not be joining these guys on the rejoin. Currently, Larry Fairman leads the second pack of himself, Dakota Camper, and Bill Stringfellow onto pit road. So as we follow into this little groove, Jim was one that did fall out of the draft earlier, so he will have to pit sooner rather than later. So currently on track, your leader is John Houston, followed by Alex Bahiri, and third place is Mr. Chris Melton. They do have a pretty good gap going to the fourth place car of Blake Witowski, and sitting in that spot right behind them is Chris. We are currently watching the leader pass Dakota Camper coming out of corner number 4. So these top 3, they will have a pretty good gap to the rest of the field. But don't hold Dakota, Bill, and Mr. Larry and Blake too far behind. If these guys can get a good amount of 4 or 5 cars going and they can lock down some lap time single file, you will see them catch this top 3 pretty quickly. Your top mover of the night currently is the number 49 Ford, Mr. Chris Melton. He is up 9 spots from his starting position. He hails from Longwood, Florida. And it does not look like our second pack has quite got it together yet. Number 4 spot right now is Dakota Camper, followed by Bill Stringfellow in 5th. Blake Witowski and Larry look like they're trying to spin this thing up, maybe fall in right here, but we do have a group brewing in the back that is following Steven Shue. This pack consists of Shue, Phillips, Barker, Pete Dillon, Pillar, and Ellis. Nope. And Pillar and Mr. Mike Chivers. These guys are going to try and rock and roll and catch. It looks like Casey might have to wait for that group to pass them. And we take it back up to Bill, who does look like these guys are getting things squared away. And they are going to do their best to try and catch this field. If this third pack does not catch them, they may have to end up falling behind this third pack that is single file. But currently, your leader, John Houston, rocking and rolling in that number 8 Napa Auto Parts car. They currently have a 6-second lead on the pack behind them. And it does look like Steven Shue's pack will catch them. I do not see this top pack leading for, well, maybe I stand corrected. If these guys go side by side, they will not make up a lot of time on this top 3. So, no cautions yet. We are 26 laps into this 55 lap Wagner Welding 125 currently at Talladega. If you're looking for a league on Thursday nights, runs the next gens, we currently have a few races left. We won't bug you if you miss a couple of races. Rev might, but we're just here to have some fun. We call it points racing. We call it more fun racing. As you guys can see, Mr. Wagner is going to follow a lap down here. He is currently the highest on the lapped cars. So if he can tuck in behind these top 3, he may be able to get a wave around. If he can find himself to the front, he does have a little more fuel capacity going, about a lap more these top three can let him by, and Mr. Mike Chivers would get a wave around on this lap. Trying to see here. So we do have a few cars at the moment that are a lap down. You've got all the way to Casey Ellis, and I'm trying to find this out for you. I may have to just watch the ticker with you guys. These guys will be battling for a lap back throughout this race. So let's see where our lap cars, as the ticker goes by, we will let you know who those cars are and who is battling. Casey Ellis is currently on the lead lap, followed by Jeff Scott, who's running out there by himself. And James Wagoner is your leader of the lap down cars, followed by Mr. Mike Chivers. And Jim H. Jones is in there. Right now, Mike and Jim are not really fighting for a lap down, but if James can find himself in front of the top three, those two will definitely be fighting for the lucky dog when the caution comes around. So at the moment, your top three: John Houston, Alex Bahiri, Chris Melton. And we will see if we can get a little bit of action going in the second pack. Does look like they got it single filed, led by Lake Butowski. So these guys finally got it squared away. Does look like they are about probably about 6 seconds. They have shortened that gap a little bit. It was about 6.8 before, so they've taken about 1 second out of the leader's gap. If these guys can continue to stay single file, I wouldn't be mindful against them probably catching this lead pack within the next 3 laps probably. What these top three need to do is they need to just maintain lock bumpers, go really fast, and pray for the best. So if you guys did watch, if you didn't watch with us last night, we had a dear friend by the name, gotta watch myself a little bit. So last night in the Ruff Neck Truck Series, we had a dear friend last night, went out there during their all-star race and took the pole. He led about the first 32 laps of the race and then came back to win this race and the Truck Series, the James Wagoner Truck Series, hosted by Ruff Neck Racing. That man is Mickey DeVino, possibly his last race on iRacing. He is currently battling health issues, so if you and your family can send him some prayers, we hope that he can at least make a few more weeks, if not a few more seasons with us. So you guys have a chance. Prayer for Mickey DeVino and his family, and congratulations on your win, buddy. It was great to see you in victory lane last night. Currently, it does look like Mr. Wagoner is going to take the advice of the commentator and try and work himself up to the lead of this pack. So your current lap down battle is between Mr. Mike Chivers and Jim H. Jones, who are bumper to bumper. These guys will be fighting for the lucky dog. And our new leader, Mr. Chris Melton, in that 49 Ford. So my goal here is to give you guys an amazing Crank It Up. But the best way to do that is to wait for these guys to bundle up a little bit. Maybe we'll have a late caution and roll that for you. If we don't, I don't want you guys to be listening to a dreadful sound of 4 cars going around the whole track. We need them in groups. These cars sound amazing in groups. So John Houston got caught with the blinking bug just a little bit there in the second place behind Chris Melton, and the current on the lead lap car, Mr. Dougie Wagoner, gets his lap back the old-fashioned way by racing for it. And this second pack is currently led by Blake Witowski. They are closing in very fast. They are about 2.8 seconds behind the stop pack. You guys will probably see them catch them here 2 laps to go. So, or 1 or 2 laps in race, not to go. But Dakota Camper and Blake Wittau or Bill Stringfellow are not some bad folks to have behind you. They will be pushing Blake like crazy to try and catch this lead pack of Chris Melton, John Houston, Alex, and Dougie Wagner. Through the field, though, want to make sure that we're getting everybody. Does look like Greg has found himself a little bit of a pack back here, as he is still currently on the lead lap, followed by Pete Nillen. And then shoved in the middle of them is 2 lap down cars between Mike Chivers and Jim H. Jones. 4 is not going to cut them to the front, but it may help them just kind of stay on the lead lap if we do have something late in the race. Currently, we have 22 laps to go as we are entering turn 1 here at Talladega. And while I was away, it does look like we do have some pit goers a little early. And John Houston and Alex Bahiri, maybe not a smart decision just going 2, but they should be able to make it to the end of this race. So maybe just a little bit of a short pit. These guys should get out before the leaders make it around. So if caution does come out, these guys will be able to make it to the end. So as of right now, it is just Chris Melton and Dougie Wagner at the front of this field. Dougie getting his lap back the hard way. He is currently going to pit with Chris Melton. Goes around the outside, tries to break it down, going into pit road. May have been a speeding penalty. We'll let you know here in a short amount of time. 49 did look like he might have gone in a little fast, but might have been able to while that down across going. Currently, your leader on track is Dakota Camper. Don't know how these pit stops are going to affect them, but it does look like our takers are Chris Phillips, Chris Melton, Steven Shue, Christopher Barker, Pete Dillon, and Mr. Dougie Wagner. Our pack of 4 here is Dakota Camper, Bill Stringfellow, Blake Witowski, Larry Fairman. But it does not look like we are going to see any of these cars that pitted before go lap down, as the on 3 on track, Dakota Camper, Blake Witowski, and Bill Stringfellow have decided to pit, and Larry Fairman has decided to stay out by his lonesome and run some qualifying laps. Currently, we have been notified by race control that there was no flags yet, so we should be good, and no one should be rocking and roll. Dakota Camper is going to go in there, fill that thing full of fuel, followed by Bill and Blake. They also have a late goer of Mike Chivers, and currently, Larry Fairman has found himself in the lead. Don't know how great this decision was to stay out, maybe hoping for a caution. Currently, he has a 30-second lead on our 3rd place, and Greg Pillar is currently in 2nd. He is just passed about 10 seconds. So if I'm Larry here, there's 1 of 2 options. You pit now, hope that you catch the back of this pack, or you stay out and you hope for a caution in the late part of this, as these guys have 30 seconds to make up. Yes, they will find themselves in a pack, but 30 seconds is a lot when we're going side by side here. Does look like we got some wiggling going. Does look like they get it straightened out. Happens about every time these guys find themselves getting into a new pack. These guys are praying and hoping that the caution does not come out. Larry, though, he's pretty happy where he's sitting. They're still about 30 seconds behind him. Greg is still about 9 seconds behind him. It does look like Greg Pillar is going to take to a pit stop, so he will go a lap down. But yeah, Larry Fairman out here all by his lonesome in that 11 Chevrolet. Up 6 spots right now, leading the field. He is currently just doing some practice laps out there by himself. This field is 28 seconds behind him, led by John Houston. Got a pack of about 8 cars in this pack that are following him. If you guys are watching at home, you guys enjoy some good iRacing, you love it in some good 1440p, leave me a follow, KNS Sim Productions. I do the broadcasting now for Ruff Neck Racing on Wednesday Night Truck Series, sponsored by James Wagoner Welding. Also, some other sponsors we want to shout out there. We want to make sure you guys get all of your racing needs from a Rev Sim Shop. Great man, builds some awesome button boxes, does some awesome wraps. You guys ever need some road course coaching? Find him. He's Mr. Revenger XXL in the chat. Any of your iRacing needs, make sure you guys give him a ring. So back to this field that is currently chasing. Larry Fairman is still about 23 seconds ahead of these guys. So don't know how it looks on fuel for him, but it's going to be pretty close. He's probably going to be coming in around the 40-ish lap mark. We got about 15 and a half laps to go. It does look like Larry is going to take to the pits. He is not going to try and rock that strategy too much longer. So make sure he gets in there nice and safe, as John Houston is going to lead this pack, take over the lead of this race, and your most current biggest mover, Steven Chu in the 00. Up 10 spots once they get past Mr. Larry Fairman. And he is currently sitting in the 4th position. Out of North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, driving that beautiful Dole 00 Chevrolet. Followed by a Dakota Camper in the 5th spot. Bill Stringfellow in the number 83, up 4 spots. Currently sitting in the 6th position. Blake Witowski in 7th. Christopher Melton rounds out this little pack they got going on. He is currently up 4 spots in the 8th position, rocking that Ford. So, now that we got a little bit of a pack, it's time to hear some sounds and sights of racing for an entire lap. I'm going to shut up and let her ride. And I hope you guys enjoyed that little crank it up. I will have a nice little animation next week as we hit that. We are currently 12 laps to go with your leader, John Houston, followed by his teammate, Alex Bahiri, in the second place in that beautiful Dunkin' Donuts number 20. Points are on the line. Mr. Dakota Camper, currently your points leader, is sitting in the 5th position. He is following Steven Chu and these guys. I am sure him and Bill are currently making a game plan for these last few laps to try and shoot themselves up to the front and win this thing. Bill is currently trying to find himself back up into this points race as he has missed a few races. A lot on the line for these drivers. Not only a championship, the winner also gets to choose the car for next season. If you guys are looking for a place to race, next season, we will alternate away from the next gen. Next year, once big season, we'll be racing the next gen cars on the entire NASCAR schedule. Across the entire year, we will split it in two seasons. The first half of the real life NASCAR season will take up season 1, and the second half or second season of American Sheepdog Racing on Thursday nights will take over the second half of the season. And we are old school with the points. We do a little bit different over here. We do not do stage racing at this point, and we do not see it in the future. If you're looking for something more a little in your wheelhouse and closer, starting September 26th, we will have our duels at Daytona in this league. Make sure you get signed up with American Sheepdog, and I will share that link in the chat post-race. Also, if you guys are looking for an ARCA and IndyCar league, Tuesday nights starting in October, we will be alternating between these cars every week, 12-week championship, and the winner will get a beautiful prize, but we can't tell you what that is right now because we like to keep it a mystery. Currently, 10 to go, coming 9 to go. John Houston, still your leader, single file all the way back to Chris Melton and maybe not. Oh, Pete Dillon find himself all the way in the up here with this pack. He's currently the first car a lap down, followed by Dougie Wagner. And it looks like Greg Pillar has found himself in that third spot amongst the lapped cars. Jeff Scott, a few more laps down. He is having some issues tonight, but I am sure he will make up for it in future races. Does look like our first place driver is blinking a little bit. Don't know if it's too much for our race control to make him move towards the back of the pack, but it looks like it has cleared up in the moment. Currently, these guys are planning with 8 to go. What they are going to do on the 2 lap to go mark is usually when you see an outside lane start to form and try and charge on the outside, as our leader is blinking again and he is back. If you guys need any broadcasting needs as well, I am brand new to the revival of broadcasting. I did it a lot back in the day, and I was pretty consistent on it, pretty cheap. I am currently at the lower end of the price market right now for broadcasting. If you guys like what you see, I do not change prices for any league. So make sure you reach out, let me know what night you need, and maybe we can make something work. Also, follow, subscribe, anytime we're racing. Make sure you check out K&S Sim Productions. We not only broadcast now, we also work on edited races. So make sure you go check out some of our Armed Forces races in the videos amongst our YouTube and leave a thumbs up. We're getting to the end of this race, and we have not had a single caution. This is one of many firsts I've had in a league where we have not had a caution. Knock on wood to make sure that those cautions do not come out late in the race. Once we hit the white flag, we will see a winner. We will have no more cautions. And stick around for the post-race interviews. Will take place about 2 minutes after the race, and we will have your top 3. in the booth. It does look like Dakota and Bill sitting in that spot are starting to make their move to the outside. Blake Witowski is going to try and catch these guys. They are 2 by 2, going about third place, passing Chris Phillips on the outside. They're going to try and side draft their way all the way up. Does look like John Houston and Alex Bahiri do try and block on the outside, with John Houston maybe getting a bad bump out of that corner. Dakota Camper is going to make it a third lane on the outside. Him, Bill Stringfellow, and Blake Witowski are going to take the lead on the outside of this race. And they're going to leave Alex Bahiri out for blood as he falls back into the 4th on the bottom lane. He is currently running in 10th. Does look like Blake Witowski is giving some bad bumps up there to Bill Stringfellow in that high lane, almost getting him sideways as he falls down to the bottom lane. Bill probably was not appreciative of that, but we do have a race. It does look like these guys are falling back a little bit. Maybe the bump just upset the car too much. Blake Witowski, with that little bump to the back of Bill Stringfellow's car, has found himself in the 4th spot. He is pushing in the corners, and he is obviously getting a little wiggly. These guys are ready for the dance on these last 4 laps. John Houston is currently being pushed by Mr. Chris R. Phillips. Chris, usually not a real lover of the Super Speedway, always finds himself getting caught up in an incident, finds himself in 2nd place. Hopefully he makes the smart decision here as Blake Witowski has taken over that 2nd lane on the outside, getting pushed by Dakota Camper. They do have a run of 5 cars on the outside. They are looking for the gold medal on this outside during Olympic season at Talladega, as they are in the middle of 3 and 4, headed for the turn 4 exit. Blake Witowski getting a little loose from Dakota's pushes in the corner, gets it all riled up. Chris Phillips trying and hoping to push John Houston out in front of these guys so he can make a move to the high lane. We are 2 by 2 by 2. We are currently 3 wide as Dakota Camper and Bill Stringfellow have left Blake Witowski out to dry on that middle lane. He will fall to the bottom lane and try and figure this out as our new leader, Chris Phillips, has left John Houston in the bottom lane with one partner to dance with in Alex Bahiri. He is currently being pushed by Shu in the 2nd position. We've got a race. It does look like Dakota is trying to find a way down, a way up. It does look like Chris Phillips gets bumped to the bottom, collects himself. It does look like Shu gets into the wall. We're keeping it straight, and we have a wreck on the front straightaway. It is the number 8 of John Houston that collects Dakota Camper and Chris Melton. Stephen Shu all collected in this caution with 2 laps to go. We will go back and watch and get all of the reels for that. As we're coming through, we will take it slow-mo. It does look like it might have started a little before then. Looks like Stephen Shu might have gotten pushed up into the wall, and then it just slits a corner by Dakota Camper into John Houston's car, collects, and it looks like the 63 may have gotten down into the 49, shoots the 63 right up to the wall. Biggest thing here, these guys have no fast repairs. Does look like Dakota Camper came out of here pretty smoothly. He has fallen back to 8th. These guys are 3 to go. I am going to take a quick break while these guys do pit stops, and we will go commercial free for the rest of this race.
When I was a kid, I wanted to touch the skies.
I wanted to invent things.
I wanted to protect others.
I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to make a difference.
I knew that one day I would be the difference.
I am a special missions aviator.
Clinical nurse.
Pararescueman.
I'm Captain Chris Niels, and we are American Airmen.
See more at airforce.com.
I said I'd never join.
Thought living on sub would be too hard.
I figured only the weatherman tracks storms.
I said my job wouldn't matter.
I couldn't even swim.
Joining the Navy sounds crazy. Saying never actually is.
And we are back from our little bit of a break. Current leader is Chris Phillips, currently down pit road. We do have a few takers for damage. It does look like Dakota Camper is on pit road for some damage. And it does look like James Wagoner is there as well. Maybe our lucky dog candidate taking some of his damage repair. Pete Dillon does look like he's got a bit too much damage on that. And Jeff Scott and Jim Jones and Jerome Cooper are currently sitting out of the race. Your leader, though, Chris Phillips, found his way up front, leading Alex Bahiri in the second spot with Bill Stringfellow, who took the EOL at the beginning of this race to start in the back. He is all the way up to the front. Currently, by statistics show, Bill is your biggest mover, but by realistic standards, without the EOL, Chris Phillips, your biggest mover, up 10 spots from the beginning of this race, as we are going to go green, white, checkered. These guys will have one attempt at a green, white, checkered. If they do not make it all the way, the leader at the caution will be your winner. Currently going into one, lights are out on the pace car. Interesting facts. This is our first caution of the race. We've had 2 fuel stops. These guys had 60% fuel in the cars tonight. Next week, catch us at Charlotte. Currently, we are in the midst of a league vote on whether we're going to do the oval or the roval. If you guys have a preferred race you'd like to watch next week and you would like to entertain the idea of the oval or the roval, leave your guys' vote in the chat. These guys would love to make our viewers happy. Currently going into turn 3 as we go through a little bit of the top 10. We currently have Chris Phillips leading, Alex Bahiri in second, Bill Stringfellow in third. Chris Melton is found himself in the 4th spot with Blake Patowski in the 5th. Houston 6th. Barker is currently running in the 7th position. Mr. Dougie Wagner is in 8th. He did take the wave around, so I do think that we will see Dakota Camper probably move in here. You got some lapped cars riled up in the mix as well, but these guys are going to go green here, so we are going to give it to our good old friend Bernie sitting on the flag stand, making sure that these guys are good to go on their green flag, and this will be our only attempt at a green-white checkered tonight. As we go 2 by 2 by 2, Chris Phillips in the bottom lane. Top lane, Alex Bahiri getting pushed by Chris Melton all the way past the flag stand, and we are good to go on the white flag lap with 2 to go. As these guys are entering one, it does look like Alex Bahiri does have a good push coming in here from Christopher Melton. As they exit turn number 2, Chris Phillips has found himself in the top lane. And we currently have John Houston breaking a middle lane. No, Dakota Camper finds himself up on the top lane, falling fourth into that line of cars right behind Chris Phillips. Bill Stringfellow trying to lead that bottom lane up against them. Does not have much help behind him. They are trying to get stacked up behind him. And currently your leader is Alex Bahiri, followed by Chris Melton, followed by Chris Phillips, and Dakota Camper in fourth, with Bill Stringfellow trying to work some magic on that bottom lane as we are one to go here at Talladega in the Wagoner Welding 125. Currently, it looks like we've got a big gap between first, second, third, and those cars behind. I don't know if Dakota Camper is going to work some of his magic and try and get Bill Stringfellow, but Bill has fallen out of the picture for this one. Dakota will have a run up on these guys. He runs to the bottom lane with no help currently. He is currently third place. Casey Ellis does fall in behind him. He comes back up to the middle lane. He's trying to shoot the gap. Looks like Alex Bahiri does get a little loose coming out of that final corner. And he does get pushed out of the way. We are 4 wide coming to the flag. Alex Bahiri is currently your leader. Dougie Wagner gets into a wreck. And your winner of the 125 is Alex Bahiri in the number 20 Dunkin' Donuts car. Second place right now looks like unofficially maybe Chris Melton, followed by Dakota Camper in third place. Dakota made a strong run at the end of that race from back to front. He made it all the way close, but no cigar. Still gets that beautiful interview at the end of the race. And Alex Bahiri, your winner of the Wagoner Welding 125. We'll have interviews after his beautiful burnout. This is Alex Bahiri's first win in the American Sheepdog Racing League. Maybe not too used to where we do burnouts here at Talladega. Maybe he is. We'll see if he gives us a good burn down here at the start finish line. And we will make sure we get you zoomed for all of the action on that. Looks like they're going to have a great group photo for the top 3. And Alex Bahiri is going to do his burnout. I am going to work on getting these folks up into the booth to work on some interviews for you guys. And we will start pulling some folks here to our beautiful little lounge. Make sure that we get all of them. And I do not see our second place. So, if you're out there, Mr. Chris Melton, and you can find your way to the interview pool room, we will do your interview with you. But first, our third place driver of the night is Mr. Dakota Camper. Dakota, how did you do it, man? Right at the end of the race, you find yourself in the back all the way up to third place at the finish of this race.
Yeah, I was just trying to find the right line. There was some teammates that was working really well together. I was trying to get with Bill, and Blake was working with us, but those front 3 just kind of jumped out in front of us. But I was able to get a big run, go to the bottom. I was just trying to be the leader of the other line, whichever line that was, and finally somebody come up there and got some help from Bill, and I think the outside line must have got slowed up or something and come home in third. That was an exciting last lap.
It was a great race. Watching that, it was phenomenal, and honestly just glad to see that one caution all night. It was great. What did you think about that? One caution at Talladega, not very common.
Yeah, it was a good race. I was involved in that caution, was the worst part about it. But we had 2 minutes of repairs, and I got almost all of it done and restarted there in 8th and come back to 3rd. So, yeah, that was a lot of good working together. There was some good pit strategy, and then we had a single file line that was catching the front group. And it was a lot of teamwork out there tonight, and that's really what you have to have a long green run at Talladega.
Well, first and foremost, you're still our points leader, so that's good to hear. So you and Chris are pretty close, neck and neck. Hopefully, Bill can ring it up and get there towards the end of the season. we got Charlotte next week, but most importantly, congratulations on third place. Is there anyone out there that you want to thank?
Yeah, I want to thank the Gathering Place Church. They're always on the car, and Unchained Motorcycle Ministry. We're having a big event this week. It's the like our weekend of worship deal. So in Abilene, Virginia. So check us out on Facebook. We'll be going live for that on Saturday at 1:00. So come on out. If you're out of motorcycle, come on up at 9:00 and register and go for a ride with us. You can get all those details on our Facebook at the Gathering Place Church. And yeah, you up in the booth, my buddy Bill, who gave me a good push there at the end. We worked together all night long, so it's always good racing with Bill. He's a fun guy. So yeah, just appreciate you guys for putting on a good league, and hopefully we'll be racing in a circle next week because it'd be a shame to ruin a good oval race.
Well, right now it sounds like it's kind of split. I think we might run oval and just throw the Roval in there next season.
That sounds good to me.
All right, man. Well, you have a good night. It's good to hear from you, and it's good to see you on this podium again.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be up here again real soon.
All right, and our second place gentleman is not here tonight, so we are going to drag our winner of this race into the booth at this moment. Alex, it's your first race win, man, over here at Sheepdog Racing. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling like really good right now. Shoot.
Well, you had a lot of shakeups throughout the pack towards the end of that race. One caution the entire race. Do you think that you and John Houston's pit strategy in the middle of that race helped you guys to the front?
Yeah, it definitely did because like we were talking mid-race while we were in that little train. We're like, if we can pit now, we could catch the pack behind them or we could get in front of them. But it didn't work out exactly how we planned, but it still worked out pretty well because we were able to blitz by all the guys that pitted a lap after us and get up in the third. But me and him were pretty much working together all race, and I think that helped me get up there to the front.
Muted my mic on myself. Well, I want to discuss one thing that Dakota brought up in his interview. Do you want a Charlotte Roval or do you want the Charlotte Oval?
Get the Roval action going, baby.
Well, as always, during every interview, especially when you win the race, you're going to give all the shout outs you want to get. Thank anybody out there that you want to thank, and the floor is yours, my friend.
First off, shout out to Kai for broadcasting, kind of last second. Shout out to John Houston for being such a good teammate and teacher throughout the whole race because Super Speedway racing is kind of new to me. And as always, shout out to James Wagner of James Wagner Welding for, allowing us to have fun and race these interesting NASCAR races. And shout out to all the guys at ASDR who, work a long time to set up this seasons and stuff. It's great stuff y'all are cooking up.
Well, one more question for you before you go.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about the IndyCar series coming up?
I'm feeling excited. I love me some IndyCar.
Well, you have a great night, Alex. Congratulations on the win, and hopefully we see you next week at Charlotte in Victory Lane.
Will do. Have a good night.
All right, everybody. So your unofficial results for tonight are first place, Alex Bahiri is that 20 car. Second place, Chris Melton. Third place, Dakota Camper. Bill Stringfellow going into fourth place. And fifth place, Blake Witowski. John Houston in sixth. Christopher Barker is in seventh. Mr. Dougie Wagner in eighth. Chris Phillips in ninth. And Steven Shue rounds out your top 10. Catch all the action on KNS Sim Productions. We will see you next Wednesday when we follow the Ruff Neck Truck Series over at Charlotte for 100 laps. Thank you, everybody,